Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Countdown to State episode on the IATC Exchange Zone podcast. It is that time. The state meet is upon us here at the end of the week, and we could not be more excited to get you ready for that here on the Exchange Zone tonight. Kyle Wegner joining me as always. Ben Dewey here in the studio. Kyle is virtual. Kyle, good evening to you. You want to explain your shirt to everyone before we get started?
Sure, just Hawaiian, I guess. I don't know. This is one of the best times of the year with cross country and postseason. So it's not a good vibes Friday, but a good vibes Sunday as we start off a big week.
Nice. I like it. How's fatherhood going?
Good. As you know, sometimes you have those days. Today was one of those days where he was a little bit extra fussy. So I'm deciding to stay home so I can limit my time away and help as much as possible. But it is what it is, but we're here.
Well, good. Tonight's schedule here on the screen is sponsored by ST1 Sports. And if you remember from last week, we had a nice little graphic from ST1 Sports to their new website. And it is an opportunity for you to get merchandise through ST1 Sports and Track Guy Foundation as well, as they're partnering together for merchandise. ST1 Sports is your one-stop shop for track and field equipment coaches. So as you get ready here, as the cross country winds down and track and field season is upon us, ST1 Sports is your place for all track and field equipment. They also do merchandise, clothing, and all sorts of other stuff. So check them out at st1sports.com. On tonight's schedule, we have two guests joining us. Caleb 10 Pass is here in studio, and he'll be joining us here momentarily, of Des Moines Christian. And then Izzy Hardin of Maquoketa will virtually join us later on in the show as we get ready for the state meet. Both of those two athletes having sensational seasons for their programs, and we're excited to have them on the show. We're going to take a look back at the state qualifying meets real briefly, as we have a big board of some of the biggest events from last week. We'll look at the upsets that occurred, and then, of course, the state meet preview. Congratulations to the hosts of the JV State Meet this past weekend in Cedar Rapids, and meet director Easton Mai for putting on a fantastic competition. 135 boys competing in Cedar Rapids at Knoll Ridge Park, and 23 girls. They tripled their total from last year. So really exciting stuff, and just another way to showcase the sport of cross country and how well it is doing here in the state of Iowa. So congratulations to those athletes and the meet management for putting on this wonderful event. Tonight's interactive chat question. You want to join the chat tonight? What is the most difficult part of the state meet course in Fort Dodge? And this segment is brought to us by Speed and Performance Academy out of Cummings, Iowa. If you're in the mood for some off-season work, have that itch to continue to get better, Speed and Performance Academy in Cummings is your place to go to work on your speed, your strength, get you ready for track and field season. So check them out at Speed and Performance Academy. So, Kyle, state meet course, what are you putting down for the most difficult part of that 5K?
Man, that's a good question. I'm gonna go maybe the start. It might be.
You always say the start. What is with you and the start on a 5K?
It's getting out in a good spot. You know, it's the best competition wise field most of these teams will see all year. So, and it's a pretty quick turn, not like crazy quick turn, but just getting yourself in a good position to start the race is my thought. You know, I kind of feel the last mile, you know, it's either going really good or really bad. If it's going really good, I think just the adrenaline is going to carry you to the finish. It's almost like Drake Stadium on the last lap. You know, you're just going to get carried to the finish off of adrenaline. Not every single person, obviously, but I know I'm gonna go start again, I guess.
Okay. No, I do see that in this situation. The different start line. It's more pressure. Everyone lining up in that 15-team field plus individuals is legit competitors for the first time really all year. Um, the start line is massive. Seems like if you're way out there on the north end of the start line, you've got a long ways to go to the cut down at that tree. I'm going to go with top of the hill, 800 to go. Just that, not very many hills on the course. That is probably the one that maybe raises the most issues with people, especially late in that race with about a half mile to go. And I've seen a lot of change happen in that last half mile over the years. State championships won and lost, team championships won and lost in that last 800, kind of that make or break section there. So I'm going to go with that. But some good answers in the chat right before you turn to the finish. That downhill is a good one. We had another, probably the starts. There you go, Kyle. John Studd said probably the start.
Not alone.
And then the hills right after mile number 2. So good answers. Continue to chime in as the episode goes on. We'll maybe readdress that one at the end of the show. Here in studio, we have Caleb Tenpass of Des Moines Christian. In your chair, Kyle. I'm telling you, people are coming for your chair.
Back to back. If you don't go off to college, Caleb, I guess you can have my chair for the next 4 years.
Well, Caleb, what do you think of the studio?
I love it. I was very impressed. It's actually really professional, and it's thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, well, we're excited to have you, and such a great career so far. I say so far because there's still a lot left to accomplish, I know, on your list of things. But just outstanding 3 years so far, and what you've accomplished is historic. And I know you still have big goals ahead of you, but we're excited to get you in here and talk some cross country, talk some track, maybe talk a little recruiting. We'll talk a lot of things.
Awesome.
Sound good?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, how do you feel about your season so far?
Yeah, I'm feeling really good about the season. Just kind of getting started for me. Good Iowa State, good district course on Wednesday, and just getting ready for state. So feeling great. A lot of momentum going into the state meet on Friday.
Is it accurate?
A lot of people on my team had 3.07, 3.08. So if you want to add like 5-10 seconds, you can. You can do what you want.
Yeah. What do you think, Kyle? Was it accurate?
Well, I
there.
still think it's 60 to 66 meters short from confirmed wheeling, but like you said, like Caleb said, it's 8 to 10 seconds for some not as fast in the field. It's a little bit more time. So it's not crazy short by it's not 3.0 by any means, but still a little fast. But Caleb, you looked awesome. It was a great duel with you and Logan Blake. What were your thoughts in that race with you and Logan dueling it out?
Yeah, it was a good race. It was pretty windy, so that kind of surprised me a little bit. Those long straightaways at Iowa State, you got hit by some wind, but felt pretty good for the most part. Just a district race. The big sparks are hopefully coming at state, so got the business trip, got what I needed done at district, and all eyes ahead for the next one.
What does a week look like for you in the fall as a cross country athlete? So can you kind of take us through? I mean, you don't have to go through like your school day, but I'm thinking more cross country wise in running.
So I do starting out on Monday. That's when I start my week. I'll do a workout. Use this threshold, nice chill workout. Then Tuesday and Wednesday, I'll just do easy run with the guys on my team. Thursday, another threshold or harder workout if I choose to do that. And then Saturday, long run. So pretty normal week for a high school athlete.
Okay. What other I call it supplemental work do you do in addition to what you're getting at school and with cross country? You could look at extra training, weightlifting, nutrition? What other things have you tapped into over your career that has helped get you where you are?
Yeah, so something really cool at my school is I work with my performance coach, Coach Ben Tillis at Accelerate, and then my school coaches are awesome and great coaches, and so they kind of work together to do my training plan, easy run, just kind of all the things that coaches do, and so I can still do easy run with my teammates, and then still do workouts with my performance coach, and so I have some of the best coaches, love them. That's why I do run, and I would say my coaches at my school and Coach Ben, some of my best friends. I spend some of the most time with them. So that kind of hits the training. I do lifting with my coach Michael Johnson at school twice a week, and so now it's pretty chill. But I'll try and I'm a taller guy, so I'm trying to get a little bit better running economy, doing some good lifts, and then I watch what I eat pretty well. We in the pre video I was saying I do my nutrition pretty. I dial it in pretty good. Meal prep, my school lunches, all of that. And then, yeah, I'm getting 9+ hours of sleep a night, just really hitting the recovery because you want to be able to do the big races, the big workouts and just the normal easy runs. You gotta be able to recover even harder. So,
Nice.
I am not getting 9 hours of sleep right now, so
Me
I would
neither.
trade for that in a heartbeat. I'm getting about 3 hours spurts here and there, but it has been a busy fall for you. We know that with your recruiting visits. What's that process been like for you?
yeah, so the recruiting's, it's kind of a long and hard and just, hard process to be honest. So, I started my sophomore year after track. I just emailed a bunch of the coaches, some of the top coaches in the nation, just my times, whatever, and got a couple calls back, a couple just keep me updated, whatever. And then junior year, as I had a couple good indoor performances, and then kind of leading to that outdoor season, I was like, wow, I'm one of the topper guys in the nation. I'm like, I love running. I'd love to. It'd be my dream to run. Um, in college. And so just, kept emailing, then I got on some calls with, some better coaches, um, and Zoom calls, stuff like that. And then I kind of noticed a turn right after the NCAA meet. It was kind of like, okay, the coaches like really started focusing on the next recruits. And so get on more calls, Zoom calls, setting up official visits, and just trying to figure all that because it would be awesome to visit every single college, but you only have so many weekends. And so that's been really hard this cross country season is, I'll have a race on Thursday and then head out to a visit on, either Thursday night or Friday morning
Mm.
first thing. And then just traveling all over the country. And so, you're getting back and it's like, wow, getting from a travel day, 12 hours and you're like, wow, I got to run the next morning or whatever. So that's been, that's been definitely challenging just going on 4 or 5 college visits, but so not doing that. And, you get to see the college visits, the team, the coaches, facilities, stuff like that. And then now I am narrowing down my decision.
So,
And
yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead, Kyle. You want to
I
go
was
one more?
saying, what when you were looking for schools to reach out to, and now that you've taken some visits, what are you looking for within a school, a team, a coach? Like, what are some things that you got to or they have to check off for you to say, I want to go to that school?
Yes. So I mean, first things first is, you see how they perform at the NCAA meet and are they developing these high school athletes? And so for me, being blessed having a really good junior year, I was like, okay, I want to go to one of these top schools that have one of these top guys finishing in the 1500 or 5K or 800. And so a lot of emails to those top colleges and sending a lot of emails out and then it's just kind of a process getting to then you're calling and in my call, I'd focus on just like how nice was the coach. Like one thing you don't realize in college is like you are spending, 20+ hours a week with your coaches and teammates. And so I want to have a coach that is like almost a best friend to me because you're gonna be hanging out with them a lot. And I'd talk about one thing, a big deal for me in college is having a Christian ministry on campus. And so talk to the coaches about that on the first call for every single one. And is there athletes going there and stuff like that. And so yeah, it's the calls are pretty chill. And then, you do the Zoom calls and that's where you get into a little bit more of the business and you kind of really determine, do I really like the coach and, are they offering to take me out on an official visit?
I think it's cool that you're sitting here because, you are, one of the top recruits in the country. And A question that I get so often from athletes of mine or other schools, when it comes to track and field recruiting, I try to explain because recruiting is so much different in track and field and cross country than it is in basketball and football.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if you're one of the top milers or 800 guys in the country. It's way different because they're not recruiting you when you start as a freshman. And like you said, the page turned after the NCAA meet, and then it started. There's so many kids in your age or sophomores that are like, why am I not getting recruited? It's not that you're not good enough. They just don't focus on you. And do you agree with that? It just kind of clicks like
Right.
that senior year
Right.
summer.
Yes, I'd say now as, roster limits and, NIL and, scholarships, I would say now in the sport, actually, if you're one of the top sophomores, they are recruiting you. That's something I was they were some of the coaches were like, okay, we're kind of doing the normal thing for me end of junior year, senior year, beginning year, where some people are now recruiting as sophomores. So if you're one of the top, you are getting recruited as sophomore. But then most of the time it is junior year. And one piece of advice for, if you want to be recruited is I was kind of freaking out a little bit at the end of my junior year because I was like, I'm running these top times, running well, I'm texting these coaches and I feel like I'm not getting like a whole ton of love back or like just like, delayed responses. And then just right after the NCAA meet, it is like a switch and they're like, okay, we're focusing on our next recruits. And that's when it's like calls, Zoom calls, official visits, like it goes really quick right after there. So that's a piece of advice that I didn't know before, and it would have saved me a lot of stress.
Last question for me. I think it's a question that I'm sure a lot of our listeners want to know is, this rivalry that you guys have started and it continues with you and Quentin and Kanan. Logan at Gilbert has now thrown his name into the mix a little bit. What is that like? It's just incredible.
Yeah, it's really cool. You look at it. Listen to last podcast, talking to my coaches, like it's really special. You got, the top returner miler. I'm up there, and then you just got a ton of studs in cross country, and so cross country for me this year going into it, I'm like, I've had an okay cross country season last junior year, but seeing like Ethan Strand, a guy making the world team, he also got 8th at the NCAA cross country meet. And so I'm like, if I want to be one of those top milers, I still got to get the base. In college, I want to be a 5K, 1500 guy. And so I was like, I'm going to take this season out hard. I'm going to put in really good summer. And I was super happy with my first race. And so it makes a lot of fun. Iowa is, you could argue one of the best, states where before it was California. Like I'd say Iowa, people are, most excited for a state meet, Drake relays. And so it's really excited to run in. Love it. Iron sharpens iron with all the guys. Like, it's just a lot of fun to be in. So.
You got anything else, Kyle?
Do you have what's in your mind for Friday for you on Friday?
Yeah. So first things first is, the team. I love my team. That's something I love, hanging out with and more running for them. And so we're really excited. We had some studs. Our freshman Luke McCormick PR'd by 40 seconds. Dylan Dornkamp, our number 4, PR'd by 43. So our team's got a ton of momentum going in. My coach, Coach Hamer, he peaks these guys right every single time. It's like it's crazy. We are running PRs at state, and so first and foremost for us, like encouraging my teammates, and especially we got a lot of underclassmen. I'm the only senior. I'm gonna be the only graduating senior in our top like 12 or something. So encouraging those freshmen, getting them locked in for state is number one, and excited to go out there and give it my all. A lot of times cross country is really hard, and especially for me being a little taller, I go out and I'm like, I want to get done, and I want to be laying on the ground for 30 minutes afterwards. That's kind of my mentality going in every single race. And so that's the goal, go all out. I'm going to cover moves, make moves, whatever happens, just go all out and, get done at the end and be proud of myself that I emptied the tank.
Excellent. Yeah,
That's
you guys
great.
looked awesome on Wednesday last week. So kudos to you guys.
Thank you.
I bet you wow a lot of the college coaches.
Yeah, they were definitely, excited. I had a good mile time and then, PR'd by 47 seconds my first 5K this season. And they're like, wow, this track season is going to be phenomenal because cross country wasn't really a tool in the toolbox last year. And now, I want to be right up there with the best of them. So,
yeah. Well, that's good. Well, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thank you so
Yeah,
much. Yeah.
we're looking forward to seeing you run on Friday, and definitely wish the best of luck to you and the rest of the boys, and also a great off season and health, and obviously to cap off your career at Drake and beyond, and have a great finish to your high school career. So cool.
Awesome. Yeah,
All
thank you
right.
so much for having me on.
Yeah, Caleb Tenpass here in the studio in West Des Moines joining us. We're going to take a quick 30-second to a minute break to get Caleb out of here with that, so you don't trip on all these cords, and we'll be back with the rest of our state meet preview show. Back here on the Exchange Zone. Terrific interview with Caleb Tenpass. I feel like he's probably really good at public speaking.
Yeah, and he's doing a interview with the Des Moines Register that should be coming out soon with Tommy Birch. So I'm excited to read that
Oh, that'll be
story.
great.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's get to the state qualifying meet. And I mean, I'm going to say this, Kyle. I think it was less eventful than previous years. There were some upsets. We're going to take a look at those. But for the most part, uh, business as usual for a lot of programs around the state, probably 90% or more.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. We'll get to, 3A girls maybe was the most wild, but a lot of it was just, maybe some postseason injuries or postseason absences that just one kid really hurt a lot of teams. And we'll get to that. But I would agree with you for the most part. It went pretty much to chalk or to the script across the board.
Well, let's go to the big board here in the state qualifying meets. I'll take the first two, and number one on the big board across the state meet or state qualifying meets. How about this upset? We did not see this one coming. We didn't even know if Central DeWitt would make it without Kyle Olson. Well, he comes back, and Central DeWitt, led by freshman Cole Neiman as their lead runner, takes down number 4 Grinnell 48-62. Wow.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to those two and seeing if they can make some noise on Friday. The top three teams are all pretty good, but I think both of those teams both have the ability if one or multiple of those teams have an off day, they are going to be right there to strike for a potential podium spot. But and again, I think they tied just a couple weeks ago before the WAMAC. If I remember right, but still, impressive performance for sure for DeWitt.
Izzy Hardin and Evelyn Moeller. Izzy Hardin will be joining us here on the podcast shortly, and they had a showdown at their state qualifying meet, 1805 to 1807. It was Hardin over Moeller. Excited to see those two go at it again this weekend in Fort Dodge. What do you got, Kyle?
What do I got first? Williamsburg, is that mine?
Yeah, Williamsburg.
Pretty crazy sight for sure. And Fort Madison, just two back-to-back years of just unfortunate at the state qualifying meet. I think last year it was they just missed by a point. This meet, no Addison Rump. Now they only finished 6th, so I'm wondering if she did start the race. And had she ran, would it have been enough to get them past CPU still? I don't know. It would have definitely been close for sure with it still would have been, it wouldn't have been like a lock that they were in. But I don't think any of us had this. I didn't have this order correct. I don't think that you did either. Williamsburg, then Ballard, then CPU. This was just a wild, wild sight.
Yes. You've got the next one with Des Moines Christian.
Yeah. Is this Des Moines Christian girls, right?
Yep.
Yeah, just looked phenomenal. We'll get to them in a little bit, but preseason number 12, I think, quickly moved up into the top 2, top 3. And man, they looked like for sure the number 2 team in the state on Wednesday. I could not believe the number of runners. I think they had 5 in the top 17 off the top of my head, but just unreal how they performed. Obviously, there's Pella. If Pella wasn't in Class 3A or did not exist, Des Moines Christian might be a lock for me for a state title team.
Elise Erzin wins that one by 13 seconds. Impressive.
And I think they had a lot of sickness the last week, 2 weeks. I'm going to guess that's why she didn't finish as high at their conference meet, but clearly back on Wednesday.
I'm going to go over to Crow Creek in Pleasant Valley for this outstanding duo of Maddie Milage and Cameron Foad. They made history, Kyle, at Crow Creek, and I'm pulling up the email here. So I'm trying to get the exact number. But anyways, both of these ladies, they go 1-2 over there at the state qualifying meet. And they both ran top 10 times all time at Crow Creek, which is one of the most historic courses, not only for state qualifying meets, but remember they host the big PV early season meet where you've got several of the top schools in Illinois and Minnesota. Milage, 6th all time at Crow Creek with that time, and Foad 8th. And that sets up really well for the Spartans as they head into this week in their trek for a state championship. Very impressive stuff there. How about Pella? The city of Pella. They go 4 for 4. The Eagles and the Dutch boys and girls sweep the state qualifying meets in Pella. Pella with a perfect score on the girls' side. The boys won 28-91. The PC girls with a 2-point win over number 3 PCM, and the boys with an 8-point win over PCM. Pretty cool stuff in Pella. Sheraton.
Nice windmill graphic.
Yeah.
Good work there. Sheraton is back. This is a team, if they have their 5, their state title contenders. Without their 5, it gets a lot more questionable. But they are back, looked crazy impressive, winning 27-106 over Mediapolis. Just a dominant performance and looking like a state title favorite as we head into the championship week.
Yeah, I think you've got the last one for you, and then I've got one more there with Hudson. You got Hudson.
I have the Hudson girls. Again, big
This
performance.
came out of
31,
nowhere.
Yeah, 31-59. This team is probably the hardest one to get a read on, especially coming down from Class 2A. They race a very tough schedule. We'll get to them in a little bit, but no, I do not did not anticipate such a dominant performance. 3 in the top 6, obviously 5 scoring points with Cal Wheat not being in the team scores, but very, very impressive. Look for them in the podium hunt conversation coming up soon.
And the last one on the list. This is a tough one, Kyle, and probably, one where there's super elation on one side and devastation on the other. And it was highlighted by a tweet from Owen. I think it's Owen Sieberding, I believe, from Eastern Iowa. Sorry if I Sebring. Sorry, Owen Sebring. And this is a tough one. It goes to the tie. They go to the 6th runner, and there was a difference of 0.2 seconds. Had to take it out to the 10ths to determine the final qualifying spot. That's what makes this sport what it is. At times, you don't see it go out to 6 very often, let alone out to the 10ths. Heartbreak for Tipton. and I'm sure just pure joy and elation for Grundy Center. But all in all, two just incredible efforts from these two schools. And you got to tip your hat to Grundy Center, but also to Tipton for a valiant effort to the 10th of a second.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And, it's crazy the different ways we break ties in our sport. In college, I remember, I think it was the Big 12 championships, they go head to head
Yep.
matchups. So it doesn't go to your six runner. So, it is the hard part of our sport, the highs, the lows. I was telling you, in my head, we had the kid have a race of his life at conference, helped us, if he was normally our 7 all year, 45-second PR, finishes our 5, and we beat ADM at conference, wakes up that night in just extreme pain, and his season's over. So you just, the two sides of those, and the two, you feel so much joy at once and pain at the other. And here, one kid or one team is feeling a ton of joy and one team is not. So definitely feel for Tipton, and they're outstanding program, outstanding team. But that's sports. But excited for what Grundy Center will do at the state meet.
For sure. Let's go to the upsets, and we've already highlighted a few of them there in our big board, but we will go through the rest of them. And, for years previous to this, I don't think there's as many upsets. I think you got to tip your hat to the association, the girls' union, the boys' association. I think they did a phenomenal job with these sites. And really, that's kind of been the trend over the last couple years. And I think they just keep getting better and better. I really like what they've done with those 13 to 17 and really giving those schools a chance. You think
Mhm.
about some of the other sports. If you're the 16th best team in volleyball,
You're
you
playing
don't
the one
really have
seed.
you don't really have a good chance of getting to the big dance. You're the
Right.
16th seed here on Friday night in football, and you're gonna go line up against Dowling Catholic. You don't have a great chance. But, that's what's kinda cool about cross country, and they did a very good job. So, tip of the hat to those guys working for those organizations. But 4A girls, we didn't see any upsets. All the 15 seeds made it through. In the boys, Kyle, I was going to make a little video, and I ran out of time to give to Brock to show that I had a note in my notes last week about watch out for Iowa City Liberty. I never said it. I swear on this. A young squad, no seniors in the lineup, led by Keegan Decker. They pull the shocker on Cedar Rapids Kennedy and get through in that region over in Iowa City. Heck of a effort from the Bolts. 3A girls, you mentioned Fort Madison. I didn't have a good feeling about them going into the meet, but I was hoping they could get through, and they just ran into a tougher region there, and probably an overranked Fort Madison team down there, where it's an area that we've talked about year in and year out that doesn't get a lot of exposure to Central Iowa and Eastern Iowa, and I think that might have caused this upset.
Yeah, I think they were ranked 5. I think this rating site maybe had them closer to 15, and I think there's probably a lot of coaches that were torn on, are they closer to 5 or are they closer to 15? And I think even with Rump, they're probably more into that 10 to 15 range.
Yeah.
Knowing it now, at the time, I was also in the boat that I thought they were more closer to 5, and it just goes how hard it is to, truly know what some of these teams are, without having multiple meets against very, very, high quality opponents. But it's I do feel for Fort Madison, especially with back to back years and the situation that they've had to deal with.
This one, nobody saw coming, and I wonder if it's that 15-day layoff with the non-conference that Decorah doesn't lie in a conference, but they came out flat, and Waterloo, Dubuque Wahlert Catholic knocks off number 6 Decorah, number 20 Wahlert Catholic at, Williamsburg, no, excuse me, they were at West Delaware.
West Delaware, yep.
Yep, at West Delaware. And Kyle, listen to this. In that same region, you had Mount Vernon, Lisbon, and Solon, along with Wahlert, obviously. At Williamsburg, just 3 weeks ago, Decorah girls beat Solon by 110 points. 3 weeks later, they're sitting at home. Solon easily makes it to the state meet. That is the wild thing about this sport.
You're right. And Solon, I think, is another team there where it was, we all felt like they were maybe top 5, top 7, and then really fell off for about 2 weeks there. And it was like, are they even, a ranked worthy team or right around 15? And it made it really hard to, truly understand this team. And again, Decorah, I know they didn't have Amelia Rowe, and she's frequently been a star of their lineup, but I never, if you would have, I never would have not had Decorah girls qualifying.
Our Cinderella story, the Boone Toreadors slip up at their region in Pella. Just couldn't quite put it together at the end of the season. They're going to learn a lot from this, though, and I think they'll be back ready to go next year. This is a young squad, and they got tripped up in Pella. Nothing in the 3A boys. 2A girls, Monticello at number 14 did not make it through. They ran into MFL Marmac, who put together a 79-point spread and spurred the upset of Monticello. In the 2A boys, Garner Hayfield of Ventura and Jessup both get knocked off there as ranked teams. And Jessup got knocked off by the Van Meter boys. We didn't talk much about Van Meter boys, but they traveled all the way up to Eagle Grove and knocked out number 14 Jessup with that tight pack of Bulldogs, 11-27. They've put them all in that tight pack, and they end up getting the upset. Garner Hayfield did not make it through as well. Panorama on the girls' side, no Carly Rockholtz. She did not compete for Panorama. Boy, they put up a courageous effort without her and almost made it through. But Alta really 16 points better, and also St. Ed's beat them as well. I think if they had Rockholtz, they easily make it through that region in western Iowa. And then down there in the boys, you want to talk about probably the biggest upset? I think this is the one right here, Kyle. Number 4, Waco of Wayland gets upset. Nobody saw it coming, and it's to the home team that we haven't mentioned all year. Pekin stuns Waco behind Cole Milliken, who ran away with the winning individual race, and Pekin beats Waco by 8. Waco not going to the state meet. Could you believe it? I sent it to you, and I think you just paused and never texted me back.
Yeah, I didn't. Was that Thursday? Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, let me see the
seeing
result.
it. I think that was the one result that I struggled to find too. If I remember, I couldn't find it, but I think it was no Jude Dykstra for Waco, who is a top 5, top 10 for sure, quality runner in Class 1A. Again, they finished with 6, so you don't know what happened during the race, or I'm sure people there do know, but very unfortunate, because when you lose an absolute hammer like Dykstra, that's really going to hurt your chances of qualifying. They still almost got there, but definitely feel for Waco.
Yep, and then Baxter, which we thought maybe would have problems getting through without Max Hanfort, they did. Ousted by North Butler. And then IKM Manning, that 16th spot there, the last seeded spot in 1A, they got caught off guard by a non-ranked Nottoway Valley team who's got a lot of tradition out there in western Iowa. A 14-point loss for IKM of Manning. So those are our upsets from the state qualifying meet. Now, let's get ready for the state meet. But before that, let's go to our Lead with Joy t-shirts. And how about this? I forgot to put the QR code up last week. Thank you to several of you that reached out via email that, hey, sounds like a great idea, but we don't know where to buy them at because we didn't put the QR code on there, and that's my fault. So there's the QR code. Lead with Love, partnering with Track Guy Foundation. All proceeds go to Track Guy, and scan QR code. Brock's got it on the screen here. Really cool shirts. These Lead for Love. There's so many different colors. That's what I like about them. So you kind of match them with your school color. short and long sleeve options. And that store, I believe, is open through the second week of November. So I think we got a couple weeks left. And you want to go on and purchase those. All the proceeds kick back to Track Guy. All right. State meet schedule. Just a reminder of the schedule for this week's state meet in Fort Dodge. Friday, October 31st, we'll kick it off with the 2A race. The girls at 10:30, boys at 11:15. Awards to follow at high noon. We'll take a break, clear out the stadium, or not the stadium, but the venue. Bring in the 3As in the afternoon on Friday. Saturday, we start in 4A with the girls and then finish with 1A in the Saturday afternoon session. Should be a great weekend. The weather looks just what you would want for the state meet. Knock on wood, low 50s. I think the wind looks pretty manageable. Just a little brisk chill in the air in Fort Dodge. Don't forget, they will be charging for parking by the person in your car, which I think is a great deal. That's better than one person having to pay $10. You take a carload, get a little bit better bang for your buck, maybe keeps the number of cars out of there, or at least down. So that's a good deal they're offering this year up at Fort Dodge. And I would definitely encourage, as most of you know that have been to Fort Dodge, get there early. So you have plenty of time to park and get to the course. $10 to get in. And I think it's prepaid tickets now, Kyle. Is that right? Is everything done prepaid?
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. So you got to have a prepaid ticket, which is custom for mostly every high school now in the state of Iowa. And you can order those. I think the girls' union is in charge of the tickets this year, and those are done through Varsity Bound. So there's your information for this week's state meet in Fort Dodge. Oh boy, Kyle, I've got a graphic for you.
I don't want to
Before we
see
go
it.
to the preview show, you ready?
No.
Yep. We're going to the preseason picks graphic. Oh boy. So if you're a diehard Exchange Zone listener or watcher or viewer, whatever you want to call it, this was week number 2 in our confidence meter for the boys team predictions. Kyle's on the bottom, Ben's on top. So how are we looking here?
Your CF, your Gilbert, your Sheraton look okay. I feel
They look
good about
okay.
those.
They look really good. What are you talking about?
Right. Oh, okay. I thought you were saying, oh, they don't look, obviously. Yes. Cedar Falls, Gilbert, Sheraton look good. Earlham, I would say still in the podium conversation. I don't think they can, I don't know if they'll get that done. My Dowling pick, not looking great. But it is Tim Ives, so who knows what we'll see on
Yeah, that's
Saturday.
right. You can't count them out till it's over.
Right. Lake Mills, I think, still has a shot.
Yep,
We'll get to that in a
absolutely.
bit, but
So those aren't terrible.
not bad. The only really, really not so great one is probably my Dowling pick.
Yeah, but it's a safe bet at the start of the season, and that's why you went with it.
Correct.
Okay. All right, let's go to the girls. All right, you want to go do the same rundown?
4A, I still think a lot could happen the next week.
Yep.
I think they're trending in the right direction.
So not horrible.
No, I think knowing, if hindsight's 2020, but knowing what we know now, could the graphic have changed? Obviously, they've had a lot of injuries. 3A, I say we feel pretty good about.
Hey,
Mid Prairie is on the
people are
rise.
joining here, we need to remind them this is preseason. I didn't put that on this graphic. This is not our current picks.
But I think Mid Prairie's still in play. A couple weeks ago, probably not, but they're coming back into the mix here.
Madrid's still in
Madrid
play.
is definitely still in play in 1A. So
we're good.
Not bad. I can't believe we both picked the same 4 in all classes.
Yeah, I know
that doesn't happen very often.
And I didn't share that with you before the show, so I bet you were pretty nervous to see that on the script of what you picked a long time ago.
Buckle up tonight for the changes.
Okay, so We're going to go to 4A first, and then we're going to bring Izzy Hardin of Maquoketa in before we get to 3A. Then we'll go 3A, 2A, 1A to finish out our show. The goal is to be done at 9. I think we're on a good pace right now. So here we go. Class 4A. Is that my class?
That is your class.
Yay. Look at these
How many notes papers do we got?
right here.
And do you want to quickly explain our format for
Sure.
going through them?
Yep, I will. So we're going to be looking at the contenders, and the contenders mean state title contenders, not necessarily who can contend for third place. We will touch on who we think will be on the podium, but it's not, this team can maybe get on the deck. I don't think we'll spend a lot of time with that. Contenders means we think they can win a state championship. Then we will pick a surprise team. And the best way I can describe the surprise team over the years is which team can outperform their ranking coming in the most. And then we'll talk about the individual race and then we'll move on.
And I would say the outperforming ranking is kind of difficult because, we have the rankings for right now. New ones come out tomorrow. So like just saying Dowling boys, I think currently are like 13. I don't think they're going to be 13 when it comes out tomorrow, but so we could look crazy wrong on those. But
hey, before we get to those, we got a uniform behind us.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Iowa City High, the Little Hawks, 9 state titles in this school's rich tradition of cross country. That's the 4th all-time best in Iowa history, those 9 titles. They had 8 of those in the 1990s. Their last one was in 2000. City High's had 2 individual champions. 33 times the boys team, this is the boys uniform, has qualified for the state meet. Bud Williams, of course, their Hall of Fame coach, was the mastermind behind most of these state titles. He had 5, including a stretch of 4 in a row in the early 90s. They're currently coached by Jamie Skay. This is an historic uniform here, Kyle. Happy they sent it over from Iowa City. And anytime you see that Little Hawks logo, the red and the white, you put them in the conversation with Ames as the 2 most historic cross-country track and field programs, and you just think about all of the greatness that has been in that program, and no different than Ames City High, just truly legendary program, and they're continuing to build off of that now, and they've had some really good teams here in the last few years.
Exactly. Those come to mind as Tim Dwight was City High too, right?
Tim and Dwight, yep. Tim
so
Dwight.
Just you said history for sure.
Yep. So thanks for sending that in, City High. We are out of uniforms, everyone. We have 2 episodes
I have
left.
one.
Who do you got? Oh, we
can. We can. I have one. I have one for whenever I do make it back to studio. Hopefully next week. We'll see. We have our banquet Sunday, but I have ADM's alternative jersey.
Good. That'll be great. Bring that in. So we have 2 episodes left on the Exchange Zone. We'll recap Night of Champions next Sunday. It's a big night. We hope to have several state champions join us here in Des Moines, if possible, in studio. Caleb can attest it's worth the trip, no matter where you're from. We'll have pizza. We'll make it good. And then our final episode will be the way too early rankings for 2026. So we'll get that figured out down the road. But here we go, Kyle, Class 4A boys. Let's get to it. Here on the Exchange Zone, state meet preview. It is state meet week. And let's go to the 4A boys, and we'll start with the number 1 team in Class 4A. As the contending teams, I have 2 state title contenders. I'm a little nervous. I think I could have expanded it in case something bad were to happen to one, but I don't see both of these teams slipping up, so I'm going to go with 2. And that will start with number 1, Indianola, the Little Hawkeye champions, undefeated on the year. This would be the school's 3rd state title and their first since 1972. Reed Robbins and Kiefer Barnes have led this team all season long, That sophomore Jake Robidoux is the key, Kyle. He's coming on here as of late. If he can continue to drop this week, I think they have a really good chance. And what a story this would be. One of the smallest schools in Class 4A, uh, going up to Fort Dodge, going up against the CIML, going up against the likes of Cedar Falls, and somehow could they sneak a win would be really legendary and historic for the state's history. Paxton Bloom, another senior. Coach Barnes has done a great job for Indianola this year, and excited to see them compete. The other contender, Cedar Falls. The defending champs looking for number 5 in school history. They've got one loss this year, Kyle, and that is to Indianola, head-to-head at Marshalltown. However, they were shorthanded that meet, not at full strength, but they've just plowed through the super conference. They've dominated the rest of the season. Dominique Williams, Brennan Hoyer have been huge. And of course, they've got the low stick with Jaden Merrick. Jeremy Gall, one of the top freshmen in Iowa, is also running extremely well. So watch out for their 5th runner, Porter Myers. I think he'll be a big part of this state championship repeat quest for Coach Egan's squad in Cedar Falls. Any other contenders, or are we just going with these two and then we'll open it up?
Yeah, I think it's those two. There's a nice mix for third without question.
Oh,
Now
man.
that's where the conversation
deep.
can continue and get really fun. But I think that's it for
So
top 2.
So here's my keys, Kyle. How is Indianola going to handle the moment? That's key number 1. If there's one thing that Cedar Falls can use in this race is experience in championship pedigree. Indianola doesn't have that yet. However, on the positive, they've shown up at Marshalltown, Wartburg, and Fort Dodge, arguably the 3 biggest meets in our high school season, and have won all 3. And they've beaten Cedar Falls head-to-head. This bodes well for Indianola. The second one, can Dominic Williams, who's running so well for Cedar Falls, can he beat Indianola's number 1 runner? If he does, Cedar Falls is going to win the meet, I think. And then, of course, I just mentioned that race at 5. Cedar Falls, much more deep. 6 and 7 is a huge play here because Cedar Falls is very strong at 6 and 7. That is an advantage for the Tigers. Let's go to that race for third. Here are the candidates. We're not going to spend a lot of time on third place, but you've got Bettendorf with Wiley and Hayden looking very good. They went 1-2 at the qualifying meet. PV beat Bettendorf on the tiebreaker.
That was a perfect prediction. I called that.
You did. That was good. But PV and Bettendorf very much in play for third. Then you've got the Little Hawkeye Conference duo of Norwalk and DCG. They've been splitting back and forth. This time, Norwalk got better than DCG and Council Bluffs. I think Norwalk looks really good going into this meet. You've got Prairie, who always seems to show up at the state meet no matter where they're ranked, and they outperform their ranking. They did it last year when they came out of the 4th seed coming in and almost got all the way to 2nd. You remember that? They just out of nowhere. So you can never count out a well-coached Coach Schwartz team in Prairie. Dubuque Senior, Dowling, Johnston, the CIML champions, all in play here for third. I think DCG is really scary. They've run very well in this meet. Kyle, who is your sleeper for third?
Man, I seriously think any team 3 through 12 could end up third on the right day. My sleeper team, and you might call this cheating, and that's going back to the preseason graphic, but they seem to be picking up some momentum, especially if they can get Tice back this week. But it is the Dowling Catholic Maroons, currently ranked 13th. I think they'll be a little bit higher than that tomorrow. And I think just with how competitive all these teams are and close in proximity, I definitely see them outperforming 13th, but I think it'll be even closer. They'll be closer to third than they will be 13th without question.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very good pick. My sleeper team. Okay, I have my third place team, my top 3. I mean, let's just make our picks right now. All right, I'm ready to make my picks. Are you ready to make yours?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Team picks.
So first and second, we talked about the two teams. I'm going to put Cedar Falls at first, Indianola second, and I am going with Coach Schwartz and Prairie for third.
And I'm going to go the same two in that order, Cedar Falls and Indianola. I think it'll be very close for second and third. I think the third place team has a chance to get second, but I do think Indianola hangs on to the runner-up trophy, and I'm going to go with Norwalk at third. I just think that this team is the deepest of all of these contending teams, 1 to 5. The fifth spot for Norwalk, plus they've got a low stick in Kralik, and he's very consistent. I don't know if he'll be in the top 5, but I feel really good about he's going to be probably in the top 10. I like Norwalk, and Coach Larson is just a great coach down there. They've just been sticking around all their years in 4A and continuing to just be in the mix every year. I think this is the year they end up on the deck for the third place trophy. My sleeper team, the team that can outperform their ranking, Waukee Northwest, did not have a good state qualifying meet. I think this is a team that's got a lot of talent, and they just haven't been able to put it together all season long. I think they're going to come in, Kyle, ranked 13 to 15. And this is a team that lost by 4 to Johnson at the CIML conference meet. If they put it all together, I think they have a chance to be in the top 6 when it's all said and done. That's my deep sleeper. I don't know if they can get to third, but my deep sleeper.
All right, perfect. And yeah, same to me. I don't think Dowling can get third either, but I envision them finishing just like you talked about with DCG.
Individually, 4 weeks ago we said we didn't think it'd be a duel. I think it's a duel. I think it's Merrick, our number 4 ranked prospect in the IATC 2026 class, recently announced the Iowa State commit. I runner up for 2 years in 4A. I think it's him, and I think it's Keegan Decker. I think it'll be close through 2 miles, and then it's just going to be a race for the finish line. Nothing against the rest of the field. I just think these two are going to go at it over that last mile. 4 out of 7 races this year for Merrick have been under 15 minutes, which is just incredible. Decker is 2-1 in head-to-heads versus Merrick this year. Keep that in the back of your mind. 2 of those races were within 1 second of each other. Kyle, I'm going to let you do the honors of picking the winner here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Liberty and Keegan Decker for the individual championship.
Okay, and I'm going to go with Merrick in Cedar Falls. Team points on the line, I think, plays into this as well. I always say that, so I'm going to give the little nudge to Cedar Falls competing for that gold trophy and a repeat for Merrick to win the individual title. Runner-up champion in his career. Don't count out Crossland, the CIML champ, Wiley, the MAC champ, Preston Johnson, the Alliance Conference champion out of Marshalltown, Kuma, the Missouri River Conference champion. There's a lot of good runners in this one. Should be one of those races that has 10 to 15 really close battles there to get on the deck. All right. We ready to move on to the girls?
Yeah.
Contending teams. And by the way, I'm going to make an announcement. I am not picking in the 4A girls. I don't think it's fair, even though I don't coach cross country at Waukee Northwest. I do not think it's fair for the girls to see me one way or the other. So I'm not making a pick, but I'll introduce the teams and we'll let Kyle make all the picks.
All right.
Cool. All right, Kyle, I think we have 3 contending teams. We'll start with number 1 in the defending champs, Pleasant Valley, seeking the school's 3rd state championship. They took over number 1 in week number 3, and they haven't looked back. And I think this is a team, you want to talk about team that's gotten better throughout the year. This team continues to get better all the way up through last week with Milage. Foad has closed the gap with Milage. They've been running together. McCombs has been great. They just haven't even been pushed in Iowa. Coach Jane Wheeler's done a great job with this team. They lost a lot from last year, and they're right back here as the favorite heading in. Number 2, Waukee Northwest, the CIML Conference champions. This would be the first cross-country state championship in Northwest history, just a school now for the 5th year. And Kyle, I'll tell you this, though. They're grooming a distance factory on that side of town in Waukee. Top 3 girls, freshman, sophomore. And I do think this is the deepest team in the state meet. We've said that from the beginning of the year. Clearly, when you perfect score the CIML Conference JV meet, you're going to be the deepest team probably in Iowa. Last year at the state qualifying meet with so Northwest, Sundit and Steubendeck, these two freshmen. Last year, Messerly 1751 at Marshalltown at the qualifying meet. Morehauser 1757 in Marshalltown at the qualifying meet. They went on to go 1-2 at the state meet together. This year, Gall ran 1741 the other day, which was outstanding. Sundit 1805 and Steubendeck 1811. Very impressive for those two freshmen. I say that comparing them to last year's Messerly and Morehauser. They also have 2 head-to-heads on our last team, Johnston. And PV has a head-to-head on Johnston as well. Kyle, they scored 17 points at the state qualifying meet. Johnston did, almost perfect scored it. And this is a team, I want to talk about continued improvement. Alex Woodley running her best right now. Wharton and Crabber looking to come into really good form. The half-miler sensation, Olivia Fain, seems to drop 30 seconds every time she runs. And she is looking very good now as their 5th runner. But they are looking good with Coach Pat Hennis. These 3 teams, I think, very quality teams. So here's my keys, and I'll let you pick. Key number 1, can Pleasant Valley put 2 in front of Northwest number 1? Can Milage and Foad both go in front of Northwest number 1? Key number 2, how will Northwest and PV match up at number 3? That's going to be a big one right there. I think Northwest probably has the advantage with Ella Jones as the 3, but we'll see how it plays out up there. And then the 4 to 5 advantage is to Northwest. So where will Johnston and their depth and PV and their depth be able to match up with the 4 and 5 spots of Northwest? Your picks, Kyle, in the 4A girls.
Yeah, I obviously have the same 3 teams as you. I don't know if DCG or Centennial can sneak in there unless one of those 3 things go really, really bad. I'm going to go PV as my champion, and I feel not a lock, but I feel pretty confident in PV winning. Northwest 2nd, and I think Johnston gets it done for 3rd.
I think those are reasonable picks. And it'll be a great race. These 3 teams, it's going to be fun to see. In the past, we've seen some large splits, especially in 4A where we've had some blowouts. I think this one's going to be within 10 to 20 points, 1, 2, and 3, which will be exciting in 4A. Individually, this race is going to be something else. And this is one of those where I think of all the 8 races, this is probably one of the ones where you really question what's going to happen. But start with the defending champ, Piper Messerly. She's had some ups and downs this year. Big win at Fort Dodge. Little bit of a hiccup at the conference meet in Indianola, but looked good again out in Council Bluffs. Charlie Gall, 3rd last year. She has been lighting up these courses this year. 1741 at the Marshalltown course. Those times compare pretty normal to Fort Dodge. So that's kind of a good barometer of where she's going to be at this week in Fort Dodge. And then after those 2, I think those are probably the 2 on paper that have the best chance to win on paper. But then you've got to look at the CIML champion in Alex Woodley. Man, she has ran her 2 best races the last 2 races. And what did I say after Fort Dodge going into the conference meet? You can never count her out because she's a big-time athlete and she shows up when it matters most. Well, these last 2 meets, she's really showed up and looks good for Johnston. Emma Chesterman, the senior veteran runner from Dubuque Senior. Jolie Sullivan, I think she's the wild card here, Kyle. She's got the biggest win of all of these girls this year. She took down Farabee at Wartburg. And I think she's got the chance to pull a shocker in Fort Dodge. And then you've got Foad and Milage. I don't know what else you have there, but it's going to be a great race and 10 people there, Kyle. what are you going with your individual pick?
Well, you convinced me with Alex Woodley and Johnston. I think she's just absolutely peaking at the right time. Gall is probably, uh, who I would have picked 3 weeks ago, but just seeing what Woodley has done the last couple weeks, she has jumped into my state title pick for Class 4A girls.
Great. Should be a good one. I think it's going to take 18. What are you going to say to get on the deck? Top 15 in 4A. 1830?
Yeah, 1822.
Okay. Good. All right. Let's bring in Izzy Hardin of Maquoketa. There she is. How you doing tonight, Izzy?
Good.
Hey, quick question. Do you go by Izzy or Isabel?
I go by Izzy.
Izzy. Okay. Because I see it differently in some results and we never know what to go by. So you go by Izzy.
Yes. Mhm.
How long would it take for you to drive to the studio in Des Moines from where you're at?
A few hours probably.
Where exactly is Maquoketa?
It's between Dubuque and Davenport.
Oh, yeah. That'd be a good 3-hour drive. Okay. Sounds good. Well, hey, thanks for coming on the podcast tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, hey, talk about your season. You've had just a tremendous year this year. You've seen a lot of the state's best runners, even over here in Central Iowa. When you came over for the Heartland Classic in Pella and had a really good victory down there. Talk about the season and where you're at going into the state meet.
Well, I came into the season looking to start out with faster times than I ran last year, and I've kept on doing that and looking to run against bigger competition, which I've done multiple times, like at the Heartland Classic. So that's about it.
When we do these interviews, it seems like we always find something just, mind blowing out about some of these kids, like Lily Denton, dual sports with volleyball, or, different things like that. What's something the state of cross country in Iowa should know about you, or that they don't know about you already?
I'm not sure what.
Nothing crazy. You just run cross country track and that's it, or anything, any other sports, anything else you like to do?
No, not really.
No, my goodness. All right, tell us about the coolest part. Do you enjoy going to the Maquoketa Caves?
I've been there a few times. They're right. There's a few caves.
All right. That's like I've never been. That's like the one, I don't know, it's a state park in Iowa that I want to go to. So I need to get there. So tell us, this year, coming into the state meet here, what are you envisioning happening on Friday for you?
I'm just going there to perform my best race and see what I can do at the top level.
All right. And is running in beyond high school something that interests you?
Yeah, it is. I'm looking for places right now.
Awesome. What are you looking for in a school that in a team that we just asked Caleb this too, but what needs to meet your checklist?
A good team dynamic and a coach that I feel like is a good coach for me and to be around and can coach well for how I feel like I want to be coached throughout my college career.
All right.
That's great. Hey, so talk about we talked to Caleb, and I always like asking runners, what are some things in addition to the workouts prescribed by your coaches, which they've done a phenomenal job with you. By the way, is your coach related to you?
Yeah, she's my mom.
That's your mom?
Hmm.
Yeah, I emailed your coach. I got a database of all the coaches, and I'm like, Hardin, I wonder if they're related.
Hmm.
Well, first off, what's that like having your mom as your coach?
I'm not really sure. It's okay, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, I could see it being fun. Maybe there's some days where you guys kind of go at it sometimes or not.
not a whole lot. We can usually get along.
Well, that's good. Okay, so outside of the practices that the workouts that your mom or your coach gives you, what other things are important? I mean, you're a high level runner. You're one of the top runners in Iowa. What are some additional things that you do outside of running that allow you to compete at this level, that help
Yeah.
you compete?
I prioritize my running pretty highly, so I prioritize sleep and nutrition and g- my time to run inside and outside of my season.
Nice. Izzy Hardin of Maquoketa joining us here on the Exchange Zone. So, you've been to Fort Dodge. You've been there all 3 years so far,
I've been there my sophomore and junior year.
sophomore and junior. Okay, so this will be
Mhm.
your third trip. What does that trip over look like? You know, long drive. You guys
Mm,
stay overnight, get some food. What's your routine going into Fort Dodge?
yeah, so we'll go out Thursday, the day before again, and we'll stop a few times on the way, and a few of the other girls are coming out too.
Nice. You guys stay in Fort Dodge then?
Yeah.
Okay. What is your go-to pre-night, pre-race meal?
It's kind of a variety, but generally something that just has a lot of carbs.
Nice. Kyle, what do you
Who's
got?
your who's your kind of go-to teammate that maybe inspires you, motivates you, pushes you to be your best? Who on your team is that person?
I don't really think there's one individual, but it's probably just the girls' team as a whole.
All right, and how many girls do you guys have out?
Uh, 5 other girls.
All right, perfect. So
Cool.
small, tight knit group then.
Yeah. Mhm.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
What's
So,
what's the best restaurant in the Maquoketa area that you like to go to?
There's not a whole lot of them, but maybe the Mexican restaurant they have.
Cannot go wrong there.
Mhm.
every town's got a go-to. I went to El Fagon here next to the studio and picked up some chips and queso before the show, Kyle.
Nice.
Yeah. So, hey, so last question. What when the cross country meet gets done this weekend, you have about 3.5 months till track and field starts, and you've had a great career in track and field. What do you do to get yourself ready for track and field season?
I generally take a couple weeks for recovery and just to get back, and then I'll start training again for track season.
Cool. Awesome. Well, hey, we are so thankful that you are on the show tonight, and we have enjoyed following you over the years in cross country on this show. Has this show made it to Maquoketa?
I mean, I've watched it most weeks, so
Yes.
How about that? That's
All
great. Three
right.
hours, Kyle. We've got a big radius
mm,
here.
Nice.
All right. Well, hey,
Awesome.
yeah, you having a great season, a great career. I told Caleb when he was here, it's fun to say you've had a great career, but you still have so much more to accomplish. And I know you're going to have a tremendous week in Fort Dodge, and also we will see you in Des Moines, I'm sure, on the Blue Oval in track and field. And we wish you the best of luck and health, and we'll see you down the road.
yeah, thank you. Thanks for
Okay.
having me.
Yeah. Izzy Hardin of Maquoketa joining us here on the Exchange Zone from 3 hours away. You can't get much farther than 3 hours away unless you get way up there by where you're from in central Elkader, up into the
Yeah.
Cora area. Now you're pushing 4 hours, right?
Yeah. Close to. Yeah. By the time
Yeah.
you get way up by Decorah, definitely.
All right. Kyle, she's in 3A. you're ready to go in 3A girls. I can't wait to go over this, so I will let you take the reins here. 3A girls preview.
All right. Well, if we're
I'm gonna
sticking to
move the
how we did,
mouse, so you keep going.
perfect. Well, if we're sticking to how we did 4A and just doing state title contenders, I'll just say Pella and stop. But man, the Dutch preseason #1. There's literally not enough words to describe how good of a team this is, especially for Class 3A. Their only defeat on the year was at Wartburg, and I feel this is a team that's hitting their stride at the right time, especially with big postseason expectations for meets like NXR. There's zero question that if this team's going to win or not. I think the question is going to be again like last year: how low will they be point total wise? This is a team with big aspirations postseason. I'm so excited to see what they're going to do in South Dakota and hopefully beyond that meet. Farabee and Brenneman are as good of a 1-2 as you could ask for. Behind them, Vandefort, Dunham, and Altwine are everything you could ask for in a 3-5, getting the job done. The scary part is Farabee and Newman are the only two seniors from this lineup. So Pella's going to continue its reign of dominance on Class 3A here for a while. So look for the Dutch to have an absolutely dominant performance on Friday afternoon. Any arguments?
Yes, I have an argument.
All right.
I'm just kidding. I don't. There's no argument here. Yeah, they're the contender, and they are the champion. And that's pretty exciting for them. Now I know they've got big goals coming up, so this is they're going up there with the mindset of we got to continue to get better. And like you said, the last 3 meets I've seen this team take off, and it's hard to evaluate that because they do win most of their meets by 50, 60, 70 points. They did get a loss in there, which I think helped them as well, as that kind of fueled their fire, I'm sure, as they get ready for the postseason.
Absolutely.
I guess my question would be, can they go 1-2? And that's what we're going to talk about in the individual section. So you can continue for the race for second and third.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an exciting one. I do think there's 3 teams. Des Moines Christian currently ranked #2, but preseason number 12. I said no way this team is going to finish 12th, and they're proving me right. So thank you. But they came out the gate hot at Johnston with an impressive performance to start the year, and I thought last week was their best performance of the year by far. Both Des Moines Christian teams, boys and girls, ran really well on Wednesday. They looked very dominant, putting 5 in the top 15. We already talked about Ayrton being sick the week prior and looking to be back to true form right now. So Des Moines Christian very much in the run for a second, third place finish. Otherwise, it's Mount Vernon Lisbon, preseason #2. This is a team that races a very tough schedule and I think is prepared for this meet. Evelyn Moeller is their lead dog, but this is a very balanced team and I think has the formula to success. Say like the Cedar Falls boys, yes, they have that low stick, but then they just have an outstanding pack that's going to get the job done. They have that advantage at 1, and if they can get their 2 and 3 with Swart and Pisnarek in front of Sioux Center's 2 and 3, I think that's going to and then win the head-to-head battle at 4. I think that's going to help them get that final podium spot or even second place. And then Sioux Center, they're my final potential podium team. Preseason #3. We got a picture of them when they came out to Gilbert. They did finish 18 back of Des Moines Christian, while also beating Winterset by almost 100. So to me, this is a team on the outside looking in. It's going to be a great battle with them and Mount Vernon Lisbon in my head for third. But if any of those 2 teams, Des Moines Christian or Mount Vernon, make any errors, I think this team is going to be right there to capitalize. That Gilbert meet was their only defeat on the year. If their 4 and 5 can keep it close to Mount Vernon's 3, and they can get their 5 in before Mount Vernon gets 4 in, I think they have a shot, especially if they can get Audrina Jones and Molly Isaacson on the deck. But those are my 4 teams on the Class 3A girls side for the 2 podium spots.
Yeah, I'll make my picks. I'm going to go with first place Pella. I'm going to go second place with Sioux Center. I just, I was so impressed with how they performed when they came over to Gilbert. Really, really battled in that top 15 of the race. And this is a team that has Drake Relays, high level experience in those top two runners. They had a tremendous 4x8 who's been in high pressure situations. A few of those girls are on this cross country team. I've seen them compete. They go up to South Dakota State in track and field. This is a very talented group here in Sioux Center. I'm going to say them for second. And then third place, I'm going to go with Des Moines Christian to round out the top three. My higher than ranking finisher is going to be Winterset. I think they're going to come in 8 to 10. I think they'll put 4 in the top 30. Heck, they almost did that last year, and they're better this year. I think this is a team that can get fourth.
All right. Good pick. I agree with you. Obviously, Pella at 1. I'm going opposite. I think Des Moines Christian at 2. They've already beat Sioux Center. And I think Des Moines Christian's running even better than they did earlier in the year at Gilbert. And I think Mount Vernon Lisbon is the final podium team. I think my sleeper team is Gilbert. They've edged out Winterset at the Raccoon River Conference. They're currently number 11. And I think just hitting their stride at the right time. I don't know if they'll finish fourth, but I definitely think they'll finish closer to fourth than they will 11th.
Great.
All right. To the boys.
Well, individual race.
Oh, individuals. True. Yes, man. Oh my goodness. Well, me personally, I think I have Marissa Farabee. I think she's running really, really well this year. I think she's picked up not necessarily gotten better every single week throughout the season. Obviously, there's the talent like her own teammate Elise Brenneman. Izzy Hardin is running extremely well. Those are 3 right there. The Sioux Center girls, Evelyn Moeller is probably your knocking on the door person. Natalie Anderson at your star pick from MOC Floyd Valley. The freshman from Mount Pleasant, Avery Fedler. And then Elise Erzin is probably the last of my picks for a championship pick. But I think to me, it's Farabee all the way. I don't think there's anybody that's going to give her a run on Friday afternoon, though.
I agree. I think Farabee wins. She's the number 1 ranked in the 26 class by our IATC rankings. Only a couple seniors here. You've got Izzy Hardin, who's number 5. We just had on here on the Exchange Zone in our 26 rankings. I think it's going to be Farabee. I do think Evelyn Moeller is a dark horse here to get second, Kyle, and possibly contend for the title. I don't think she can beat Farabee, but flatter the course. This is a 2:11 half miler in track, 2:12 half miler, and she seems to be really hitting her stride late. But I could see Farabee, Hardin, Moeller in that top 3. Natalie Anderson of MOC Floyd Valley. How about this for a stat? Undefeated on the season. She has not lost a race, a Siouxland Conference champion. It's going to be fascinating to see where she stacks up in this race the first time that she sees, some of these top runners from Eastern Iowa. So I'm going to go with those 4. Brenneman also in the mix for a top 4 finish, but I'll take Farabee for her 3rd consecutive individual state title.
All right. To the boys, like the girls, I think this not necessarily near as much of a lock as the 3A girls. But Gilbert's as close to a lock as you can get in the 3A boys. Preseason number 1 and likely a team that could podium up in Class 4A with their only loss coming up at Griak when they've ran a varsity lineup. They've ran some JV lineups at some other meets, but they'll likely have 3 in the top 6 or 7, just like last year. Those top 3 are so consistent as well with Logan Blake, Jacob Tallman, and Carson Squires. They had 7 individual state qualifiers coming off their own home course. So this is a team that's just set up for success, and I think they'll do that on Friday afternoon. Now, I don't think they can leave the door open by any means. If any one of their top 3 have an off day, Pella and Mount Vernon and potentially some other teams are going to be right there chomping at the bit, waiting for them to make a mistake. And I do think it's going to take some sort of mistake or super off day for another team to upset them. But to me, it's Gilbert all the way.
Yeah, I agree. I guess my question to you, what would it take to pull off the upset? I mean,
Gilbert's bus not starting? No.
well, now hold on a second here. Hold on a second. I think this is closer than I do think there's a chance. Now, it's a small chance. There is no chance in the 3A girls. I think there's a chance here. If some things go sideways for Gilbert, these two teams are good enough to win. So,
Right.
when I look at what would it
Pella's-
take, I think Mount Vernon, Lisbon, and Pella have to be 5 to 10 points each better at number 4 and 5 to make up
Correct.
20 to 30 points that they lose in those first 3 runners. I don't think they can do it. I think it's gonna be closer than what it thinks, and here's the deal. I said this in the preseason. I still think this is Gilbert's best team they've ever had. These teams have just gotten so much better, both because they're great programs, but Gilbert is making these teams better. And I think this Gilbert team's better than last year's record-setting Gilbert team. They're not gonna score that low of points, I don't think. But 3A just got a lot better thanks to Gilbert.
Correct. Yes, I completely agree on that. Just having my own team in Class 3A, it's just like, man, how many of these teams just have gotten exponentially better, even graduating tons of kids from last year. But you're exactly right. Pella and Mount Vernon, they're going to have, if not, obviously winning those battles by 10 points, having their 5, or maybe even 6 in front of Gilbert's 4. And I don't think it's necessarily possible. It's going to take a miraculous effort, but uh, you know, definitely Pella and Mount Vernon are 2 teams that can do it.
Yeah. I'm going with Gilbert at 1. I really like Mount Vernon Lisbon at number 2. I've been very high on them all season long. This would be the school's 4th state title, by the way, if they could somehow pull it off. I don't think they will. I'm going to put them at number 2. Remember, they lost Grady Olberding last year, who was a 7th place finisher, and they have reloaded the Wamak champs, Dawson Shile, Sawyer Feldman. Those seniors have been great. And by the way, Kyle, Benjamin Brinkman, that freshman we've talked about, he is the number 1 rated freshman in all classes on ccratings.com. A true talent, and the other one of the top freshmen is Stephen Murr of Gilbert in the same race. So that'll be exciting. I think this matchup, Mount Vernon and Pella, is going to be very, very close. Pella's running so well the last couple weeks. They've got 2 losses to Gilbert, by the way, already. They split with MVL this year, but both teams were just off. I don't think we can even count those 2 performances, one at Wartburg, one at Williamsburg. So I think we're going in equal. Galkey and Shutnik are the keys for Pella to go with Kane and Dunham. I think if those 2 guys run really well, they will beat Mount Vernon. But I'm going to go Mount Vernon second by a smidge. Pella third. My sleeper higher than the ranking finish in this class. Davenport Assumption. I ignored Coach Thomas last week. I called for him to get upset. He's like, no. They're running really well right now. Should have listened to him. I think they're going to keep rising in the rankings in 3A.
Yeah, that's a good pick there too. I'm with you, on the top 3. Obviously, Dunham's going to do what he needs to do for Pella. What does he have in store for his last regular season race? He's for sure going to be in the top 4. We know that. And Pella's made great strides throughout the year. Can Galkey, Carlton, Ebersol, Shuknecht, so we'll see what they can do and see if they can get the job done for second. Mount Vernon, you talk to them. I think they have to get 3 in before Pella gets 2 in.
Yep.
And they also need their 5 to stick like glue to Pella's 5. If he's within 5 to 10 seconds of Pella's 5, I think they get the job done for second. And then don't sleep on Des Moines Christian. If either of those teams have an off day,
Yep.
I think Des Moines Christian ran really well last week, peaking at the right time and could be knock on the door for a final spot. I'm going to go Gilbert, Pella, and Mount Vernon, and I think Pella Mount Vernon's going to be like 1 to 2 points.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. Okay, the individual race. I mean, I don't think there's much to dissect here with these historically gifted athletes that will be in the record books forever. But you've got Nauman, you've got Dunham, you've got Tempass, and now you've added Squires, and Squires is going to be in the mix. I mean, I think he's going to be in that pack. I don't know how long it's going to be for, or Blake. Sorry, my bad, Blake. So I think you got 3 plus Blake, which credit to him for being able to get into this conversation. But get your popcorn ready, folks. I mean, like we said all year long, I wish we could see this play out 10 different times. My only question to you, Kyle, will someone be the crazy aggressor here and try to push Nauman past his limits early on in the race, or try to get him out of the comfort zone of sitting on you for 2 miles? Is anyone daring to do that?
That's a great question. I don't know. I don't want to give away Caleb's race plan, but it made it sound like he wants to cover moves, which means to me he's going to stick like glue to Nauman and Dunham and see what happens. Now, so is it Dunham going to be the one that does that? No idea. Does Dunham might not want to sacrifice going too crazy to not hurt his team's chances of potentially upsetting Gilbert or, finishing second or third or finishing second. So tough to say. I don't know. I think every time you think you know how the race will play out at state, it doesn't do anything like what you think is going to happen. Strategic wise.
I'm just thinking, I've seen it time and time again. I've never seen anyone outkick Nauman, ever. And he has said publicly, not just on this show, but on other podcasts and things he's been on, that it feels weird when he's out in the lead in a race. So would someone push the envelope early on? But he's so good that I don't even know if that would work. It would be, the question is, do you want to roll the dice and find out? And if it doesn't work, you might pay for it at the end of the race and not be where you want to go. But these guys are all 150, 1/2 milers or faster. These 3 are. So it's like they can all kick.
Right.
So are they just going to run together for 2.5 miles and it just turns into an 800 down the golf course? I have no idea. But I tell you what, as a coach, I've got things going through my head if I was ever in that position with a runner going against him, and I'm like, I don't even know what I'd tell my kid.
No,
I think you just tell him to compete.
Yeah, you tell him and try and burn him up, and you might burn yourself up, and you tell him, just sit on him and kick. You're not gonna, very unlikely to outkick him. I would say Tempass is the only person in the state of Iowa that might have a shot to do that.
Wow, it's gonna be fun to watch. I can't wait to see it in Fort Dodge.
I hope so too. I hope it's a great performance. Part of me wants it to be, it take a 14-30 something to win. It would be absolutely incredible, especially if we have nice weather, good conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And how many of those guys can we get under 1450 would be pretty awesome.
Yeah. Well, good work there, Kyle. Let's go to 2A. We're going to go to the boys in 2A, and Sheraton. Number 1 most of the year, 5th a year ago. 1 state title in school history. And we had Coach Horton on earlier this fall. And it came in 1959. We believe they're at full strength as they were at Regina. 27 points in a state qualifying meet. Dominating win at Regina Kickers Park. You've got Stewart, Anderson, Dixon, Titan, Reed, and Crabb. These 5 guys, they are really good. They have to be on this weekend in order to have a chance to win. If there's any slip up, the rest of the field not only comes into play, but Sheraton falls out of possible contention for a trophy. It's that severe. So there's a very low risk here, or low margin of error for Sheraton. All 5 of those guys are back last year, Kyle, from that 5th place team, and Crab was their highest finisher. Then you've got contending teams with them in Olwine, the defending champions. They lost Connell Sauser and Caleb Shunk, but they've reloaded like a good program would. Keyshawn Williams, their top returner, 25th last year. He's an all-stater. Caden Irvine and Landon Dowd have had big years. For Coach Jason Gearhart of Olwine. Denver, 4th last year. They returned their big 3, Gomez, Matthias, and Knobloch. Kyle, this is the highest returning points of anyone in Class 2A, and I think that plays a big role here in the 2A race. These guys all scored. They scored 7, 15, and 38. That's their overall place. They scored better when people came out of the team points. 7, 15, and 38, all back, and they're all running way better than last year. But this is a good team. Valerie Pickett is the coach for Denver, and she's done a really good job with this team. They have a 7-point head-to-head most recently over Olwine at the NICL, and as well at Jessup. So, and you've got the number 1 ranked team in the state coming into the meet with Forest City, 10th a year ago. Most of that lineup's back, minus a guy. Early season head-to-head on Denver. Keep that in mind. That was way back in August at Charles City. Silas Gann is the key here. He's got to be a real low stick, I think, for Forest City to have a chance to compete for a championship, or for that matter, a trophy. Coach DJ Wolfram, obviously we talked about the job he's done. They have a good freshman there in Liam Weisenfach. So there's your teams, Kyle. Top 3 picks for me. I'm going to go with Sheraton winning the state championship. Coach Horton getting the first one since 1959 back to Southern Iowa. Denver at 2. Olwine at 3. My team that's going to exceed expectations and could make a podium push. Pella Christian. Sawyer Minders, Griffin Stoltz. They looked really good in that championship, that region championship last week in Pella. Watch out for the Eagles of Pella Christian to sneak into the trophy contending mix here.
All right. My sleeper team's the same with Pella Christian. I do think they slide up all the way to 3rd. Okay. I got Forest City at 2nd. I think they have just a solid pack that's the key to success in getting the job done, especially if Gann can be that low stick, and then Sheraton taking home the title.
Individually, this is probably the most predictable race of all classes. Yeah, I think this is the most predictable. Maybe Lily Denton in Class 1A. Farabee, obviously. I do think this one, though, I mean, this could be a margin of 30 to 45 seconds for Grundy Center's Emerson Vokes, our number 7 ranked prospect in the 26th class there on our rankings. Just a phenomenal season. He's been untested the last 3 quarters of it. He had an early season loss at Marshalltown, way back to the Marshalltown early bird, not even their big meet. Preston Johnson got him over on the Marshalltown course. But this is the defending champ at 15:37. Kyle, I think he lowers that to sub 15:15. I think he's anywhere between 15 flat and 15:15 for the senior from Grundy Center. After that, it's going to be wide open, but I'm taking Vokes. Lock it up.
Lock it up for me as well.
All right. We're moving along here on the preview show, and this is the class we've been waiting to dissect for a long time. The 2A girls. You gave me the hardest one, at least the most teams contending. This is ridiculous.
I don't know. Look at 1A girls is pretty wild too. All
right.
Go on.
Well, we better get started. Mid Prairie, the defending champions. Kyle, they have had 6 state titles since 2017. This is a juggernaut in Mid Prairie. State qualifying meet, they got beat by West Marshall. You took West Marshall. I took Mid Prairie. West Marshall came out on top by 3 at Regina. Here's the question. What is the status of this team heading into the championship? Can they get Landstrom back? They've got everybody back so far for the last couple weeks. No Landstrom still. We think if Landstrom comes back, they win. I think they can still win without her. I think they get her back, they lock it up. So we'll figure that out. But Brooklyn Stutzman, she has been phenomenal for Mid Prairie, keeping the wheels on the track all season long. She wins that state qualifying meet, 8th last year at state. Tessa Brokow's done a nice job. Kyle, this is still a really young team. I mean, you'd think state champions last year probably have some seniors this year. This is a young team. A lot of these girls will be back next year. So that'll be fun to follow. You've got West Marshall, the number 1 ranked team, coming into the meet. They are the Heart of Iowa Conference champions, state qualifying meet champions. Their only loss this season was at Gilbert, dating way back to September 11th. And as you've said a couple times, preseason non-ranked West Marshall, currently number 1 and maybe the favorite on paper heading in. Thompson and Eldridge have been great, both in the top 20 last year at state. Here's a big one for you, Kyle. Their 3, 4, and 5 are all freshmen for West Marshall. How will that play into the mix for their first time to Fort Dodge in this environment? I think they'll do great. I've always said, people ask, is it hard for a freshman at the state meet level? I actually think it's easier because they don't know any better. They're just going to show up. They're young. They don't know any better. There's nothing to think about. They're just going to go out there and light it up, and I expect them to do that at West Marshall. Coach Cynthia Hillerman, what a job she has done at West Marshall. Trainer, 3rd last year in Class 1A. They bump up to 2A, and they're a title contender in the Western Iowa Champs. Last year, nobody scored in the top 60 in Class 1A for trainer, and they still got 3rd. They added Lily Meyer, the outstanding freshman, to the lineup, and they've been very, very tough to beat this year. Van Meter, this is an interesting stat I found. They won at Eagle Grove. They have head-to-heads this year over West Marshall and Pella Christian. Van Meter does. So that's got to come into play here when we think of the state meet. They're led by Laura Streck, Lizzie McCann. They've had a very good year, the Bulldogs of Van Meter. Pella Christian, sprinter Bailey Voss, and she's really good, by the way. Very talented sprinter, 56-second quarter miler. She's leading the way in cross country for Coach Bukite. They've had a fantastic season. They've got those head-to-heads 2 times recently with PCM. PCM's in the mix with Abby Teeter. Coach Osterhaus of PCM's done a really good job this year with that group. Such a deep squad. And then you can't count out Unity Christian either because they only lost by 4 at the state qualifying meet, had a massive day. And they had the meet of the year against Trainer, who is definitely in the mix here. So, Kyle, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 contenders to win a state championship. Your thoughts before we make the picks?
My goodness. I mean, you hit it all on the head. It reminds me, I think it was 2021. I was just going to look that up. No, it wasn't 2021. There's just within like the last 5 years in Class 1A where it was so close, like 1 through 8. It reminds me of that, and I think it's going to happen again on Saturday. Or sorry, Friday.
Yeah, that Unity Christian squad is really good 1 through 3. However, they run a 3-minute spread, and it's been consistent 3 to 4 minute spread. I do think that is tough to overcome at a state meet. So with that, and by the way, don't count out Wakan, Upper Iowa Conference champions. 2nd last year, Downing and Benzing have been running very well. They've got the best 6 probably of all these teams. It's just a loaded field. And here's my picks. I'm going at number 1, Mid Prairie. I've rode them all year. Coach Hostetler he just wins when it comes down to it. I'm going Mid Prairie. 2nd, West Marshall. And you ready for my 3rd pick? Wakan.
My goodness. Did you copy and paste mine? I'm going the exact same 3, exact same order.
No way.
I am.
Oh my goodness gracious. I did not copy and paste yours.
No, I'm with you. McPrairie, just like Johnston, is just starting to come back at the right time. Johnston's got a much bigger buzzsaw to go through in Class 4A, but that's how I feel about McPrairie. West Marshall's just been that team all year. They get the job done for second, and Waukon, a little bit of a sleeper, but I think they get that last podium spot.
And my sleeper to perform their ranking is Albia with the Montgomery sisters. Let's go right to the Montgomery. At least McKenna Montgomery will start with. This is going to be a 3-girl race in Class 2A, and these 3 have had phenomenal careers, and they have been really good this season as well. Let's start with McKenna Montgomery of Albia. 1 loss this year, and it came all the way back on August 28th to Chloe Glosser. She has been under 1830 10 times, or excuse me, 7 times this year. Scarlett Burns of Osage, 4 wins on the year, 4 wins in a row. And she had a 30-plus second victory over Mary Grace Lyons of Monticello at the state qualifying meet. Very impressive. And then you've got Struck of Van Meter, Laura Streck, no worse than 3rd all season long. She's been 1st or 2nd in every race since 9/11. The top returner in Class 2A from last year. I'm going to go with Montgomery for the win. I feel pretty good about it, too. I just think she is running at a very high level right now, and I think she'll win this one in Class 2A.
Sign me up for Montgomery as well.
All right. Last class. We're right on pace, 8:48, and it's time for 1A Madness here late on the
1A
podcast.
Madness. All right. Boys first, preseason number 3 and the favorite going in, Oakland Riverside. I think it's a 2-horse race with them and Lake Mills for the title. I think it's going to take 75 points or less to beat Lake Mills. Very likely this team with Riverside is going to have 2 on the deck with the Hendersons, and I think they'll have 3 inside the top 25 team points. And I think that's going to be very tough to beat. So, again, if 75 is going to be that number in my head. Lake Mills, preseason number 1, they'll likely go 1 to 2 or 1st and 2nd in those individual team scores with Rogney and Thompson. We'll see if the Hendersons from Riverside can break that up. If they do, that's going to be huge in helping them out. Also, can they win the battle at 3 or 4 against Riverside and minimize the damage at 5? I honestly think they will be tied points-wise after you score their top 4 runners, and that number 5 runner is going to be the big difference.
You're always good with the math and numbers, Kyle.
I don't.
So you
math
think
was not my subject. I'll tell you that.
so you think it's going to be tied going to the number 5s?
Yes.
Wow. So Lake Mills has really closed the gap, and they have. I mean, they've been really good the last couple weeks. Okay. Good. All right. Good to think. We'll go to the other contenders.
Yeah, I think there's 3 more contenders. Ankeny Christian, preseason number 2, led by Alex Davis. They won their site by over 100 points, going 1 through 3 with Davis, Zach Gardner, and Caden Fry. They have won 7 meets on the season. Earlham is another team, preseason number 4, potential podium pick here. I don't know. I don't think they can match Ankeny Christian 1 through 3, even though I think they have 3 outstanding runners on their team with the Braits and David Nichols. We'll see if they can prove me wrong. They seem to be maybe more a little bit opposite of Ankeny Christian, have raced a little bit tougher schedule, and we'll see if that can play to their advantage. And then the last team, I just think putting them in this conversation mostly because they haven't raced these teams necessarily, and we don't know as much about them. Preseason not ranked, with a dangerous group of seniors coming to Fort Dodge with Landon Spohr, Riley Aragon, and Owen Engel. If they're 4 and 5 can have big days, talk about those just big, 30, 45-second drops that, like 10 Pass was just talking about, don't be surprised if ESAC finishes 3rd.
I think ESAC is hitting the stride at the right time for sure. Whew. My preseason pick was Earlham. The way that Earlham can get this done, I don't know if they can win, but I think if they get on the deck, David Nichols is going to have that Johnston early bird-esque type performance where he's under 16, right around 16 flat up on that course and in the top 5.
Absolutely.
So am I ready to make my picks?
Lead the way.
Okay. In first place, we published the feature that Brock put together on Oakland Riverside today, and it's you could watch that 15, 20, 30 times, and the story that was told that night by how they got to where they are 4 years ago to now is just incredible. I mean, from having 3 kids on the team to not even being able to score to where they're at now. I think they're gonna get it done. I really do. I have so much respect for Lake Mills and what they've done over the last few years, and it is going to be so hard for Oakland to hold off a champion like Lake Mills. I think it's going to be within 10 points. I'm going Riverside or Oakland. I'm going to go Lake Mills and give me Earlham with the tough schedule to come in and sneak a third place trophy in the 1A boys.
All right. I agree. Riverside for the win over Lake Mills. I'm going to go Ankeny Christian at 3rd. East Sac, my sleeper team, currently number 7. I think they get 4th.
And my overall sleeper in this class is Springville.
Nice. They're running really well the last couple weeks.
This is a dangerous team. I think there is a ceiling for them as far as how high they can get. I don't know where they'll be ranked, but credit Springville, excuse me, for the season that they put together, especially over the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, I think that's a team. I think even Beckman Catholic had their number most of the year, and Springville got them back at the state qualifying meet. So good pick there.
All right, individually, what are you thinking here?
You know, I have one person in my head, and I think not necessarily a lock, but I feel very confident in them. We've talked about Hugh Conway and how good he is on the track. Alex Davis for Ankeny Christian. Lucas Wernemont for Sioux Central's running very, very well. David Nichols, if he has that Johnston-type performance. Then you got guys that probably even just a little bit above that group there. Dawson Henderson from Riverside. Haven Weirs from Tri-Center is running really, really well. But I think it's going to come down to one of the 2 Lake Mills fellas. I think it's Hayden Thompson who's going to be the individual champion.
And I'm going with the sophomore from
Tri-Center,
Haven Weirs.
Good pick.
All right. Brock, are you still awake? It's been a long one. All right, we're nearing the finish line. Here we go.
Tell him wait till we get to the way too early rankings episode.
Yeah, he might not come back, so I won't.
All right. 1A girls, I think, is a lot like 2A girls. I think there's 8 teams that legitimately can win Class 1A. And I'll try and not necessarily fly through them as fast as possible, but there's no script for this meet. And I think there's 8 teams. I'll start with Sumner Fred, preseason number 7, coming down from Class 2A and led by deck contender Sydney Zupke. Currently, I think this is the team that's the favorite heading into the final meet, and another team that races a very tough schedule. They have not finished worse than 2nd all year, except for the Jessup Invite. I think they're a balanced team. If they can get 2 or 3 in before Southwind's 1, I think that could be huge for them. And then how close can their 4 and 5 be to Southwind's 4 and 5? So I also think they'll have the same game plan against a team like Newell Fonda. But first, we'll go Southwind. Preseason number 2, they don't have a low stick like a lot of these other teams, but what they do have is a solid 1 through 4 pack with that 5 not that far off. If they can keep that spread very, very close, they're going to be tough to beat. It's a success or a formula that has always worked for Southwind, it seems. And again, they're a little bit new coaching staff. Carney and Conway are not the head coaches anymore. Conway, I believe, is still involved, and I think that's going to be a huge benefit for them. I assume it's his daughter Adele is their lead runner right now, along with Maddie Jansen, Annie Hageman, and Ava Franzen, which it always seems like they have a Hageman and a Franzen on their team. And a team that has finished in the top 3 of every meet except Luther. How about Madrid preseason number 1? I don't think you'll find a better top 3 in Class 1A, especially with Brandhorst and the Grothus. Coach Grothus always has this team in the mix, and now they've not had their normal number 5, Cheris Peasley, since September 29th. That's obviously a big piece, but the biggest piece of her is the depth that they would provide in case anything were to go wrong, or putting their number 5 or number 6 in front of other teams, maybe 4, 5, or 6. A team that, again, races a tough schedule, like Gilbert, Ballard, the WCAC, I think they're battle-tested. They might have 3 in before most, not all, title contending teams have their 1 in. And that is going to be a huge, huge piece to their path to success. But all their other teams will likely have their 4s and 5s in before Madrid. So it's just a completely different mix of team compared to a lot of these other ones. Sioux Central preseason number 5, having won 6 meets on the year. They did just have a 17-point loss to Newell Fonda, so they're a little bit lower on my list of 8 teams here. Newell Fonda preseason not ranked. This is probably like East Sac, one of the teams of the year in just coming out of nowhere. I know Tri-Center was only 5 points back of this team, but they had a 21-second slower average. They also have a 2-minute and 21-second spread, so that could be a factor as well. They're very solid 1 through 3, like Madrid, with Brabeck, Meyer, and Sievers. Their entire team is also freshmen and sophomores except Brabeck. So this is a team that has 0 room for error, but look for them also to be in the mix. 3 more. We got Earlham preseason number 4. Like Newell Fonda, they only won their qualifier by 5 points, but they only had 6 scoring teams, so it's very hard to those points to add up. But they're lethal up front with Amanda Smith and Mackenzie Harger. Same for Martinsdale St. Mary's, very, very similar to Earlham with Oberender and McLean Germain. And then finally, Hudson, we talked to them earlier, preseason number 3. A veteran team with 4 upperclassmen in their top 5, led by Molly Hansen and Ella Steele. Not counting the weirdly scored Waverly meet, they didn't win a meet the whole season. And that tells me they raced a tough schedule as well. Look for any one of these 8 teams to get the job done on Saturday.
Good work, Kyle. Very good. All right, I'm going to make my 3 picks. I'm going to go with Hudson at 3. I'm going to go Sumner Fred at 2 and Madrid at number 1.
All right. See, I like this class because we're going to get some crazy differences. I have Madrid at 3, Sumner Fred at 2, and South Win at 1.
All right. Should be fun to watch. My sleeper in that class, I really like Earlham. I went back and forth on where to put them. I think this is a team that if everything clicks on the right day, they could be as high as 1 and as low as 6 or 7.
And mine's Hudson, currently ranked 13th.
Yeah,
and
that's a
obviously
good
I
one.
have them on the deck.
They'd probably be a little higher on tomorrow's
Correct.
rankings.
I think so too.
That's a good one.
So that's where I didn't necessarily. I still think they might come out 8th in the rankings or 5th. Either way, I still think they're going to be higher than that.
So fans watching, 1A girls, 2A, 1A girls, and 2A girls. Those are the ones to really keep your eye on for the team aspect. All right. Individually, this would be a quick one.
Lily Denton Locke. But Chloe Glosser is running amazing. So
He's had
if anything were to happen, look for Chloe Glosser to be right there. But
yes.
I don't see anybody messing with Lily Denton on Saturday.
And I think she's going to take a run at a very low 17-minute time.
I agree with you 100%.
And I predicted at the start of the year that she'd run the fastest 5K on that course, and I stand with that prediction.
All right.
All right, Kyle. Excellent work. I know that's a lot of research over the week and weekend, and appreciate all the time you put into it. It's been a long couple weeks for you. Enjoy your trip to Fort Dodge, and best of luck to your team as well. Brock, great work today on the keys. It's been a long episode, and we have 2 remaining. Night of Champions next Sunday is going to be a fun one. We're going to have some in-studio state champions, we hope. And if not, we'll get them virtually. As you see on the screen, subscribe to us, follow us, spread the word of the great sport of cross country this week. As someone put in the chat to start, this is the best week of the year. Greatest week of the season. There it is. Teresa Hayden. Let's go. Greatest week of the season. Enjoy this week. Take care of your bodies. Get a lot of rest. Drive safely up to Fort Dodge. Get out and cheer throughout the course of Lakeside Golf Course. And let's have the best state meet in history. I think we will. We'll be back next weekend at our normal time of 7:30. We think. We might go 7. We don't know. That's the great thing about having the internet flexibility now. But we'll be back with the Night of Champions. Have a great week, everyone. Best of luck.